good day. I hope you had all a great lunch break. So I'm now welcoming on stage Rodolphe Mardel, Vice President Upstream from Total Energies Global Procurement. And I hope you will enjoy the session. So first we're going to have like a technical presentation from Mr. Mardel, and afterwards the floor is open for questions. So thank you.
Thanks a lot. We'll wait the last attendees joining their seat. No? 1 or 2 minutes? Okay, well, let's start. First, it's really an honor and a pleasure to be with all of you today. It's one of the first workshops from this African Energy Week. Let's introduce myself, Rodolphe Mardel, working for Total Energy in Total Energy Global Procurement entity. A couple of years ago, we have decided to regroup all procurement resources in one specific team, and I will explain why. Myself, as a VP for procurement upstream, I'm leading directly some purchasing category. When I speak of purchasing category, it's some market, means drilling activity with the rig, well service and equipment, but also the seismic category and associated survey. It's for upstream, but also for some renewable project, like wind project for the survey. Logistic, all our aircraft, rotating wind, and also all vessels. We have a large fleet of vessels worldwide. And the last category, it's R&D for upstream. Also, I'm in charge of the support to all our upstream business units. When I say support, we have a governance model, and when it's commitment over a certain threshold, the local business units are obliged to share with us their strategy, their recommendation, to have a consistency across the world. If we face to some difficulty with one supplier, it's to not perhaps award additional contract for a certain period, but also it's to promote the competition, to introduce new challenger worldwide. It's very important to have this network, even if you will see we have a real pillar in the local footprint team. Okay. Last message, and that's why it's really an honor to be with all of you, because I've spent on my career more than 20 years in upstream, in supply chain, dedicated. I'm a pure product of supply chain. And along this career, I spent 10 years in Africa, in different countries, in Angola, in Congo, and more recently in Mozambique. Just to start, some key figure about Total and what is the contract and procurement within Total. Some general information, but worth to highlight first that it's public information. Our two main axes of strategy, it's first oil and gas, and the second axis in integrated power. Means really we need to maintain the production and to increase the production of oil and gas worldwide to finance the transition and our second pillar, which is integrated power. What it means integrated power? It's to be present in the chain of energy from the production to the final client with storage, different solutions in between. It's not to be just operator of one wind project. It's also to be in link with the final client. It's our approach to be, let's say, profitable in this transition. Okay. We operate in more than 100 countries. Our purchasing spend, it's $20 billion, okay? And if we add to this $20 billion the non-operated assets, our share group, it's $26 billion. It's the annual spend. And in this spend, there is the OPEX and the CAPEX related to project. It's a mix, and it's across all the branch. It's upstream, refinery, chemistry, marketing, all our petroleum station, and also all the projects, the renewable projects. It's very important because you will see after when we'll discuss local content, there is different stage. There is a local content during the project. It's a massive amount, okay, it's a flagship, but after there is another part of local content during the life of the operation, and it's better during the life of operation to attract investors because it's sustainable level of spend. Okay. In terms of supplier, worldwide, we have in our database more than 100,000 suppliers from zero, or from $1, let's say, not zero, from $1 to multi-million dollar contracts. Means it's a massive challenge for us to be able to assess the supplier, to follow the performance, etc. But it's, yes, it demonstrates also the strength of our local footprint in all the branch and in all the countries. Over this 100,000 suppliers, we have a core of 85 strategic suppliers. The strategic supplier for us, it's they have access to all our tender. We engage with them in terms of research and development, preparation of the future generation of material, the different way to have services also. It's really a particular relation, and it's not just related to spend. To become a strategic supplier, even if your spend today is really limited, it's a way also to prepare the future. In one category, for example, if we have a limited number of suppliers because there is some monopolistic situation, our duty is to promote the competition, to embark challenger to become the strategic supplier of tomorrow. Okay? Our workforce, 1,400 specialists of contract and procurement worldwide in the different branches, and 80% of this workforce is located in affiliates. Means we really promote the local footprint, as already mentioned. Our organization, a few words about our organization, under the umbrella of our CIO, Mr. Patrick Pouyanné, several branches, the upstream branch, led by Nicolas Terraz, and two new branches. One Tech, created 2 years ago, and we regroup in One Tech all our specialists from all the branch discipline, specialists of corrosion, specialists of drilling, of logistic, of seismic. I saw some contractor in seismic, and also the specialists of all technical aspects of material, plus our R&D. It's and in this branch we regroup around 3,000 employees, really the technical specialty of the group, providing support and services to all our local entity, helping to tackle all challenge, all new development. Okay. And mirroring, but even if it was created before, it's Total Energy Global Services. It's an entity regrouping all support functions, including contract and procurement. Okay, means I'm there, Total Energy Global Procurement, and we have several teams dedicated to the support from White Branch. It's really matricial and also dedicated to some markets with some contractors. Like I explained myself in charge of upstream and all main contractors for upstream, so well known, Halliburton, Schlumberger, PGS, and others. And it's the same for my peers. Industrial product and service, my colleague who is leading this team is in charge of refinery, plus also is managing the category dealing with maintenance, inspection, chemical. Means when a decision is taken for chemical, it's across the branch. Okay? Because it's our response to the market, because you can, as contractor, operate in different branch, but at the end you provide the same service of product. It's not true if you are a rig contractor. Yes, correct. But chemical, maintenance and other, you can work across the branch of Total. Means if you are in a country where local operate in a petroleum station, in upstream, in a refinery, when you are in the vendor database, you are qualified for all the branch. Okay, it's heavy, but it's an LC approach. Okay, bon, marketing and mobility, it's all the electrical chargers, the petroleum station, packaging for lubricant. I need to admit that being in upstream, I'm a little bit far from this category. But anyway, my colleagues are taking care. And indirect procurement, oh my God, it's a bucket of everything. Means HR, communication, IT, consulting. It's all intellectual property, intellectual services, if I may, and all general service stuff and material with providing support, in fact, to all our company. But it's really a large portfolio. Okay, and we have one colleague also in project equipment dedicated to projects, including renewables. Means if it's a project for upstream branch, we have the specialist of project because it's different type of contract, same key contractor worldwide, and in fact they manage with this contractor, and after we work in Matricial for the last approval. It's clear on the organization? Okay. One thing to note. In Total, all decisions are taken jointly. You will see, I will introduce later, the approach of bi-party, means on all categories, I have one peer, like in drilling, the head of drilling at group company, it's my peers, to approve the strategy for one category. It's really a mix between the commercial part and the technical one. It's really balanced. And it's not the technical who will give an advantage or the commercial, it's both. It's really, really important. And you will see when I will describe the CN, contract and procurement process, it's well balanced. And it's also a way to not overexpose one person in a process. Okay? Okay, in our approach, we are really committed on sustainability and on some fundamental principles. I will go through this principle because it's really our DNA. And even these principles now are within our general term and condition and in appendix all our contracts. It's really strong. It's a contractual matter. The first one is respect of human rights. Okay, I think it's a no-brainer, if I may, but it's worth to reinforce our commitment to respect the human rights, to respect the law in each country. The second one is related to HSE. It's really our DNA to protect our resources, our colleagues, and for that, let's be clear, our contractors are key. Our contractors are representing 80% of our man-hour worldwide. And we count in our reporting all accidents, all LTI who surveyed to one of our contractors, you know. But again, there, it's more than a commitment. It's really one of our values. Okay. The third one is act in favor of climate. We have reinforced this statement. You can see on the right part our ambition for the coming years, and we expect from all our key suppliers and later from all our suppliers to have themselves an engagement towards the reduction of their emission. It's really challenging. It's new for a lot of us. For the major contractor and company, the majority of you are already committed, but for small, medium-sized companies, sometimes it's challenging, and even to calculate our baseline. But anyway, we need to progress all together. It's ready for our industry. We are under the spotlight in a lot of countries, and to be auditable, to be transparent, to be committed, to make effort, it's key. Ourselves, we launch early this year an analysis of our baseline in detail. Before we were working on spend-based analysis, we switched to quantity-based. It's extremely difficult and challenging. Lot of lessons from this initiative and lot of leverage identified. And now we will engage with our supplier. We will engage in all our call for tender on a pragmatic manner, because we'll not apply the same approach in every country for every contract. But at the end, we have a list of leverage per category. And it will be interesting now to engage with the supplier to catch other ID, but now to have in real some action, not just reporting. Okay. Preserve the environment. Preserve the environment. Two main axes for Total. It's the biodiversity and the water management. Okay. Principle 5. It's something implemented years ago, and again, it's in our standard practice worldwide. It's the compliance, the ethic, and corruption, to prevent corruption. From years now, there is questionnaire, there is a review in deep before award any contract. But it's important to mention that even if we enlarge the number of principles, this one stay one of the key principle with the HSE. 6, respect of competitive law. Competition, it's healthy. It's a way not only to tackle the price, it's a way to have access to services and material in due time. And I do believe to progress, having competition, it's one of the right tools, definitively, to not fall in the monopolistic situation, but not only, it's also the way for one local company to be forced to have other clients for themselves to be healthy and to grow. Okay, and principle 7, it's promotion of economic and social development. Long word to say really promotion of the local content. And local content, from my years in operation and in affiliate, it's really the way also at a later stage to master the cost, okay, and to promote competition. It's really something strong for us. It's one of the criteria in the attribution of contracts. In some countries, it's per law. In other countries, perhaps, we are not at this stage yet, but anyway, in all the cases, it's a commitment from Total. From the origin of a project to the life of field. And again, I reinforce my statement. I do believe sometimes we minimize the local content during the life of field when we kick off the project, but we should consider both, because when we kick off a large project to operate oil or LNG plant, I have some colleagues from Mozambique, and we were working together in Mozambique. You know what skill, what contractor you will need in a couple of years to operate your plant. Sometimes to train people, it takes a couple of years. Let's start at the origin of the project, because no surprise, you will need mechanical engineer, mechanical specialist, painter, welder, etc. at the later stage. And sometimes it's minimized, it's not well considered during the construction itself. It's a long journey, and both, let's say, steps should be considered. Qualification and process, etc. I will enter a little bit in detail, but be clear, it's general principle, because we have diversity in the audience, diversity also in the regulation applicable to each country, to each contract of sharing of production. But some key principles are there. I will start first by the process. What is the life of contract and procurement, guys? It's to receive a scope of work from the technical team. What we need to buy, what we need, which type of services we need to procure, and when. Okay. Scope of work analysis is very important because you can minimize or maximize the competition by the quality of the scope of work. It's extremely important. And also, if you try to regroup too much services, let's be clear as operator, you will reduce the number of interface and you will reduce some risk. But in such case, you will somehow reduce the competition because some company will not be able to bid to an integrated package and they will not have the financial health to do so. Means it's really a point of attention. I have fully acknowledged that. Even if it's the end of the technical team, that's why I told you before that it's a joint process. As a procurement specialist and sometimes with our local content team, we have a word to say there. Analyzing the scope of work, we have a word to say to really maximize the competition. And sometimes, because let's be clear, our environment is challenging. There is a huge inflation, huge cost increase in a lot of projects, a lot of operation, and sometimes we are obliged to think on a transverse manner between affiliates to also be more attractive for some key contractors. If we have a couple of months of work in one affiliate, another couple of months in another affiliate, if we have another attraction for the competitor than just an operation. You know, if you need to mobilize vessel from far away with the mob cost, perhaps your operation will be cancelled as the economic will not be there. And sometimes by bundling, you will create opportunity. Means that's why it's not just generality. We need to break down the scope of work or to bundle everything. We need to be agile, I will say, regarding the adversity of the economic environment at this time. Okay. After we launch the instruction to tender and the call for tender, depending of the regulation, depending of the country and the value, it can be public tender, it can be restrictive tender. Public tender, it's with advert in newspaper or website. Restrictive tender, it will be under invitation. And normally, it's never only one person who will create the bidder list. It's a joint work between the technicians, the commercial one, and over a certain threshold within Total, we have a governance model, and this bidder list, it's endorsed by management. We receive your proposal under separate envelope, generally speaking, commercial, HSE, and contractual in one envelope, and only those which are qualified, we are opening the commercial and we analyze the commercial. Okay. Now also, depending on the regulation, we consider the emission factor with a certain value per ton of CO2. Means if you are making some proposal to reduce the emission, it's factored in the commercial, including in the total cost ownership. Okay. And we go to the recommendation to award, and as majority of the contractors are extremely professional, we have no claim, everything is perfect, etc. If any difficulty, the duty of CNP is to follow the life of the contracts with the contractor, with the technical team. And sometimes, and as we are in a rugby World Cup environment, we play the role of referees, not between France and South Africa. We play the role of referees between the technician, the contract owner, and the contractors. If there is delay in the operation, delay in payment, extra, it's our duty as contract and procurement to intervene and to remind to all what is the rule, what is the contract, what we should do, what we should not do. Okay. Means along the life of the contract and procurement team is there to support you. Okay. This is the process, quite clear. And after, some key message about the qualification. The qualification, normally we invite to a tender only suppliers who are qualified, or if not, to introduce new challenger, or depending of your country, if through public tender you can express your interest. In such case, we'll run the qualification in parallel of the call for tender to, at the stage of the award, be sure that you are fully qualified, especially on the HSE on the compliance part, but also on the technical part through visit of your base, through your experience on other operation, on other project. Sorry. All external commitments are subject to contractual documents. We really fight again regularization, means start of a work without any document. It's a way to protect the contractor, it's a way to protect us and to avoid any claims. Competition, it's the rule. Even if we put in place a contract, 3-year contract plus 2 options of 1 year, our team are obliged to request the approval to exercise the option. An option, it's part of the strategy, it's part of the contract, and that's why it's very important to follow the performance of the contractors. If the contractor deliver, if the price are still in the market, we have no reason to launch tender, except if otherwise. And in such case, we can recommend to exercise the option. But if there is downgraded performance, the price condition and the market condition have changed dramatically, in such case, we can challenge the exercise of the option. Competition remains as the rule. Okay. Auditability, traceability. Let's be clear, we operate in a lot of countries, in different regulation, different law, but we have plenty of partners, we have the local authorities, and auditability and traceability is key. We need to work as per procedure. We have a lot of internal control also, and really traceability is extremely important for us. Local content, to apply all local regulation, plus also to engage with our local content team to really promote the development of each host country. But on top of that, because it's, I hope that I not scare you too much, the 3 key objectives, but as an international company, I do believe that it's our duty to raise the standard up. But what is extremely key, but it's so key that sometimes we forget to mention, what we expect from one contractor, it's to be reliable, to be on time, means when we are committed to respect on a deadline for a project, for a service, for materials to deliver on time, to deliver at the right level of quality as per the contract, and at, I will say, an agreeable cost. When I say agreeable cost, it's not cheaper every time. It's the cost which will be enough for the contractor to be profitable and for us to be economics. Okay? Any question, any reaction? I know that it's a lot of information, but when I see, just sorry to add, I will add something. Yes, on lead time. Total Upstream today has several major projects ongoing. It's really cash consuming, and for us to deliver on time, it's key, because during the project you spend money and you have no revenues. Means it's really, we are in a challenging period. A lot of these projects will be in production between 2026, 2027, and to be on time, it's essential. And today, from my experience in the supply chain, yes, in some categories like chemical, extra, if we compare to last year, prices are quite down. Maintenance, there is inflation on manpower, etc. But logistic and EPC contractors, the price are still booming. And on top of the price, it's the book of order from the contractors, not allowing them to deliver in a fast track mode. Okay, but now, if in such perimeter they are committed to deliver in 30 months, 35 months after as professional, we took our decision, but what will be key, it will be the respect of the planning. Important to mention, because in other case we'll face a lot of claim, and claim it's a failure for both parties. Any question, any reaction? Please, feel free.
Thank you very much for that, Rodolphe. That's very helpful. My name is Chris Graham with Blue Spark Energy, and we have had some tremendous successes with Total, replacing chemicals and acids for well stimulation projects. We're a clean technology. How do we get more exposure throughout Total globally instead of just in some specific markets? How do you share that with the procurement group?
I will come back to explain. I think, can I have a mic? Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. In fact, that's why we created 6 years ago now Total Energy Global Procurement, because we have behind each of us, each of myself and the VP, we have 26 purchasing category and 134 segments. Okay, chemical is there, for example, and we have a database. Means when we embark a new contractor, a new manufacturer in one country, every information are shared at headquarter level to open the competition after for new market. Okay, one of the challenges that we are facing, it's also the size of our company, the local regulation. It's not to find an excuse to myself, let's be clear. That's why it's both from headquarter and from a local business unit. And again, there, I do believe that there is no magic recipe. We took the decision to not be over-centralized, to still give the liberty and the agility at the local business unit to select their contractor or not. But what I can tell you, it's for all contracts over $1 million, generally speaking, headquarter is involved, even if it's just for information. Okay? And a lot of cases, I have some of my colleagues there, if one affiliate is facing difficulty on very technical market to identify contractor, trust me, the local guys, they not hesitate to contact us, or it can be the local chemical specialist who will contact his equivalent to headquarter, you know. It's clear? It's a mix. Huh? We have input from headquarter and work locally in the affiliate. What I can encourage you, because we have a large footprint, it's also to market yourself to our local affiliate. The entry will be, generally speaking, the local affiliate. Any other question? Yeah.
Hi, Gabi Horn, Standard Bank, Namibia. So as you know, Namibia is very new in upstream oil and gas, and a lot of our clients at the bank are asking, local content is very topical at the moment as well. So I think it'd be very interesting to get your insights on, in other economies, what are the local content guys doing right that should be duplicated? And what's the absolute do not do this, it's going to ruin your chances? That's my first question. My second question is, with the local content guys, often one of the problems we have is funding because it's a startup or whatever. Is there any kind of program that Total has to help with that, to get them on their feet, whether that be technical training, financial support, or anything else like that? Thanks.
Okay. No, it's very clear. But I need to admit in a new oil and gas country, we have an announcement effect, if I may. First, there is the exploration permit. We have the first well to drill. But let's be clear, it's a drilling rig, logistic-based vessel, and we need to drill the well to be positive, to have the result. Perhaps drill 2 or 3 other wells. And because for we always believe that we announce a discovery and a couple of weeks after we'll have production, revenue, employment. But unfortunately, it's not really like that. We need years to develop the project. And that's why it's very important to have this local content plan. You know, as I mentioned, Generally speaking, what we promote, it's what we call an industrial baseline survey to know what are the local capability, what we can together ring-fence, or it can be by decision of the authority, and where we need to develop some local company. And in such case, generally speaking, we invest in a development program with SMEs. I'm sure that some of you can witness this. And it's really a joint work with the local authorities. But I do believe that it's healthy to do so, because it's a joint investment preparing later the competition for us. Yes, we have a program. And yes, I encourage you to organize industrial baseline survey to really be able to assess the local capability. And because let's be clear, we are in a dangerous industry. And we need time to train and develop and to have local company at the right level. And for me, it's not only local content, it's not only general services. We need the specialists for tomorrow, I do believe.
Hi, I'm Simone Santi, President of Leonardo Group, based in Maputo, and President for Natural Resources and Energy of the Private Association, CTA. My question is, do you have any case that you separate the contract or the reference of the contract from local company or international company? Because one of the problems that we suffer in Mozambique is the cost of the money. So we have 27% interest rate. So if in a contract you have 90 days of payment, it means that you can lose 10% of the marginality. So is it possible, or you already have some experience in the differentiation of the terms of the contract?
In total, I will speak for Total Energies. Our tenor per month are 30 days end of month. Okay, first. And okay, we are not perfect. Sometimes it's longer than expected, but trust me, in all our business unit, we have a key performance indicator about daily of payment, because we believe that it's more than believe. It's our duty to respect the contract and to pay on time, first of all. Now, I know, in particular Mozambique, the difficulties, the interest rate, etc. Unfortunately, we cannot intervene on that. But no, or it's to work also on the contract breakdown with mobilization fees, for example. If you have to invest upfront, it's really a local work, and it will depend, honestly, of each scope. I cannot just give you generality, you know. But what I can suggest there, it's really to think and to engage with the local team, to think about duration of contract, mobilization fees if there is an advance payment. But generally speaking, what the local team will ask, it's a bank guarantee or some guarantee. We cannot just commit ourselves without something in return, you know.
Thank you.
My name is Francis Tunamasko, Uganda National Oil Company. How do you deal with discontent? Do you have any appeal process, for instance?
Sorry?
For bidders, if I'm dissatisfied with the procurement process, how do you deal with it?
No, I don't understand, sorry.
Discontent, if a bidder is not satisfied.
Local content?
Discontent, if a bidder is not satisfied.
Ah, yes. Yeah. Sorry. In the contest for the tenderer who are not successful,
yes,
in our procedure, if we work perfectly as per book, we should send a regret letter. Now, I cannot witness that we succeed to respect it in all the case, I need to admit, but this is a process. It's also to thank the work, and generally speaking also, we open the door to to explanation. For sure, we'll not disclose the percentage of difference if it's on the commercial part, especially when it's local company flag, local content. I do believe it's extremely important because it's a way for such company to improve their offer. Means I will always support, if you are unsuccessful in one tender, to ask for, not explanation, to ask the key elements which lead to this failure in the contest.
Hey, good afternoon. Greg Norris from Extreme MD. We're looking at providing medical support services within Africa for the oil and gas industry. We've made some very big leaps in the last few months. And what I wanted to ask you was, does Total have an MSA program where we could actually look at these contracts on a global basis to provide healthcare support to your staff in the field? And if so, how do we go about that?
Okay, well, it's a particular case. If I come back to my slide, I was not able to present all the particular case, and lucky we are, for medical services, it's not our distinguished engineer who are addressing that. We have another entity, it's the International Medical Department from Total, and we have a doctor in charge at group level. I can give you my contact if you want to contact them. And they are the one assessing all stuff related to medic. And I need to admit, when we enter in a new permit in a new country, the two first visitors are the doctor and our security advisor. And we rely on them before to post any of our employees, any of our contractors. They assess the medical support locally. They decide which means we should put in place. Because again, there, when we are extremely remote, it's not only for our staff, it's also an access for our contractor in some case. Okay, means I will give you their contact.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Lucky we are to not consider medic like valve or chemical.
Good afternoon. My name is Anisha. I'm from Mozambique. My question to you is, do you have a gender-responsive procurement policy? And coming from Mozambique, we have, I'm part of the SME community, and when we tender, not only to maybe Total, but your subcontractors, there is an issue of feedback. So is there a way, or do you provide feedback? Do you also hold your subcontractors accountable to provide feedback as to why the companies are not getting tenders? And the reason why I ask this is that it would be really helpful for companies to either improve in whatever areas that they're failed in. And yeah, that's basically it. Thank you.
Okay, in terms of procedure, yes, we have an extremely strong and robust company management system about contract and procurement, local content, how to qualify a vendor. When I say just before about traceability, auditability, it's against the company management system. Okay. First question. Second one, for our subcontractor, again, we have 100,000 suppliers worldwide. And yes, we are facing to a challenge with our main contractor, level 1, okay, and level 2. And we kick off in our organization a new entity called Supply Chain Resilience to assess also our key subcontractor, mainly the EPC contractor, engineering, procurement, construction contractors, because we know that it's a chain of subcontracting to levels 4, 5, okay? It's not accuse ourselves. In total, the principle are a mirroring of our expectation to each of our contractors, means when we engage with an EPC contractor, we expect that they will have the same level of follow-up commitment towards their chain of subcontractors. Means they will run the due diligence for the compliance. They will have at least a standard in terms of HSE equivalent to ours. No? Now for contract and procurement, unfortunately, we cannot oblige them to disclose all their standards, all their procedures, for two reasons. The first is the antitrust law. The second reason is when someone wins an EPC contractor, it's a lump sum contract, generally speaking, and they need not disclose contract per contract with who they have engaged and the amount. And there, I need to admit that we reach a certain limit, but it's the principle of an EPC contract. After, yes, we influence. When we organize forum with the SMEs, our EPC contractors are invited. When we meet with them, we force them, I would say, to play their role, because themselves, to grow and to be accepted, they need to engage in more deeply in terms of local content. Now, it will not be with a stick that we will all progress.
Sorry, I forgot one more question. So we get a lot of tenders that are being won globally. And as an SME, what normally happens is we are approached by international companies asking for partnerships, which is, all very good. But how can we, as local content, be proactive and get access to the international and global contracts that Total has? And how do we approach them and start working with them before they come in country?
You ask us to assist to implement this partnership?
No. It's not to assist, but to give us access to getting to know them. Because what normally happens is we bid for the same work.
Yes.
We know it's being awarded outside. And they reach out to us and they say, can we partner with you? No problem, but can we be proactive and say, hey, we know that you are listed as one of Total's global partners in this field. Can we create a partnership?
Okay, point taken. It's like a wedding. It's challenging to be in between, I need to admit. I do believe there is no magic recipe. We play our role with our local content team. We try to organize some meetings, some conference. Generally speaking, also the Chamber of Commerce. Our duty is to give visibility to the professional association. Now, to go further, it's also for those who would like to work in oil and gas and in international projects, as SME to try to identify some international partners. For us, we cannot advise you to enter into deal with Mr. A or B. We cannot be in this approach at all. For me, it's a mix. But there is no clear response to your question, to be clear.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Charles. I'm a student from Namibia University of Science and Technology in mechanical engineering. So I know that Total is drilling on our coastline. So I would just like to know by the time that we're going to produce this oil, and what plans does Total have in bringing, like, where will you get the employees, and is there something like what they do in the Middle East, like uplifting, getting students into the oil industry, like
Yes.
in Namibia.
But it's part of the social development and local content. I can witness that in some project and country, we build school. We have some of my colleagues from Mozambique, from Uganda there. We build school. We enter into partnership also with the UPC contractor to have joint school system. We have system also of allowance with some students. And it's, again, there it's on specific area where we need specialists and the specialists of tomorrow. And I can tell you in my new position in headquarters supporting the affiliate, I'm more than pleased to come back into affiliate and to meet with some study leavers who were recruited when I was quite young with no gray hair in such affiliate. It's more than a pleasure. And we have some good success story. But such type of program are in place. But be clear, it cannot be at the size of a state. It's for an industry on one project. But for me, one of the two elements, my personal opinion, on local content and with such program, one of the key performance indicator, it's one of SME, is after able to work for other customer or to export. And the same with such students that we subsidize. It's for when they join other industry. And we spread the know-how, definitively. Another question? We are in a commercial side, and not be shy. No? You can challenge me. No? No? Yeah.
Thank you, sir. My name is Wallace True with ChampionX, and you mentioned the fact that you look at commercial and technical in equal parts, but you touched on the emissions and sustainability of your company, and fully understand it. But I just wanted to know, and if you could elaborate, how much weight is Total putting into the emissions and sustainability of companies that are providing services to you worldwide? Thank you.
Okay. Yes. Okay. For the moment, let's be clear. Total, when it's a contract signed at headquarter level under French law, it can be a differentiating factors. Okay. In a lot of countries, it cannot be considered in the final price. In such case, what we do, and it's not a secret, we value the price of CO2 at $100 per ton. And it's part of the total cost ownership. But what I saw over the last 2 years, except in one case, it was not enough differentiating factors to twist the recommendation to our. Because in a lot of category, I will speak mainly in my portfolio, but rig, vessel, we engage in such program on mastering of the consumption, because it's the most emitting factors, consumption of energies, years ago. When you consume 1 or 2 tons of marine gas oil less than one of your competitors, at the end you already have a commercial advantage. And naturally, you make the same calculation, you will emit less. Okay. Now for chemical or for steel, like OCTG, it's a little bit more tricky, I need to admit. But if you demonstrate and you are fully audited, we value the ton of CO2 at $100 per ton today, to be transparent. Bon, thanks a lot. Really appreciate the quality of the question, the engagement.